Well, now let's open the American Top 40 Book of Records to the category of Most Top 10 Hits During One Calendar Year. This is one of those chart achievement records that just about everybody assumes is held by the Beatles. But it isn't. The Beatles are tied for third place with big band orchestra leader Jimmy Dorsey. They've each had a calendar year with 11 top 10 hits. In second place with 12 top 10s in a single calendar year is Bing Crosby. So who's in first place? Well, he was also a giant of the big band era. He was an orchestra leader and trombone player who ran off dozens of hits in the early 40s. A musician named Glenn Miller, whose brilliant career was cut short during World War II. Miller enlisted in the Army Air Force as a captain and was later promoted to major. His assignment was to use his name and his music to entertain our troops. In 1944, on a flight from England to France, his plane was reported missing, and no wreckage or survivors were ever found. 2 years before, in 1942, Glenn Miller and his orchestra had a string of 15 top 10 hits, all within the calendar year. And that feat has never been equaled. Another item from the AT40 Book of Records. And the countdown continues.
Number 38.
This is American Top 40 with the
Daddy.
Shadow. Yes, sweetheart. How are you? Yes.
Can I vote for Christmas now?
No, not now. We're only up to number 14. But it's the hit medley by Jive Bunny and the Master Mixers, one of your favorites. From Britain, here's Swing the Mood.
Come on, everybody. Come on, everybody.
Jive Bunny and Swing the Mood. At number 14 this week on American Top 40, it begins and ends with In the Mood. That giant swing-era hit was first recorded by the biggest of the big band leaders, a man who disappeared. His name was Glenn Miller. Glenn Miller started out in the 1930s, and by World War II, he was the most popular band leader of all when he enlisted in the Army Air Force. His assignment was to use his music to entertain the troops. In 1944, Miller and his pilot left England in a small plane headed for France to perform for Christmas. They never made it. The plane was reported missing, presumed lost in the English Channel. But no wreckage was ever found and no survivors. Glenn Miller's disappearance has remained a mystery for 45 years. But a few years ago, a man who was there came out with information that may have solved the mystery. He's a former Royal Air Force pilot named Victor Gregory. Back in 1944, a squadron of 138 British bombers were sent on a mission to Germany when they were ordered to abort their mission and return to England. They were also ordered to follow standard procedure and drop their bombs into the channel because it was unsafe to land with bombs aboard. Well, Victor Gregory, who flew one of those 138 bombers, told National Public Radio that his navigator spotted a Norseman airplane just below them, flying right into the falling bomb. Now, Norseman was the kind of plane Glenn Miller disappeared in, and apparently his pilot hadn't filed a flight plan, or the Air Force would have told him to stay clear of that area. Instead, they flew right into the hailstorm of bombs. So that's what might have happened to legendary big band leader Glenn Miller. And now, back to the countdown.
Number 13.